I really love this topic so much because I get to put on my tinfoil hat and talk about the shit that I see women participate in. They participate in this shit at male suggestion, and I wanted to talk about this topic because I like to look at women and what they do and how they present themselves in society. I also like to discuss how and why men are not interested in women unless she performs and presents herself as worthy of approval. And she can only be worthy of his approval when she absolutely looks the part. The male response to the female in regards to her standing body is always not enough. I am going to sell you shit, but I have to convince you that you are ugly first and that you need this shit that I am selling. Tell you you are ugly so that you can buy his shit. Purchase these products, these very expensive products that you have no idea what's in them to look better for me. But wait, you performing is also good for you. This is what the male says. You want to put on makeup and hoard beauty creams because the race is always to be beautiful. You are nothing if you are not pretty. And if you are too pretty, you deserve all the shit that quote unquote ugly people can give you. This is the male dialogue. This is what we see in society. Women, you perform because you have no choice. And this performance, this practicing femininity is all that you have inside of a world that is hell bent on taking your sex based rights away. This is the suit of discomfort. Can I say that again? This is the suit of discomfort. So you can't get justice. You have no real power. This is women right now in society. You have no real power. There is no justice. You have no access to arms. So what do you do? What do you do when you can't control anything? You control the little things. So you sit and beat your face while thinking of all the things you have no real power to change. You go under the knife and to the nearest cosmetic store because all this biological male left you was your ability to at least dress up. He won't give you bodily autonomy, but he will build a factory and manufacture makeup for you to at least look good during your oppression. And this, my darling sister, is why you are obsessed with pretty. You have nothing else to look forward to, but you're getting pretty and his approval of you doing that. That's the only thing that you have to look forward to. You have to look forward to the male gaze. And while this is changing in our society today, which is great because you see so many women moving away from what we saw maybe 10 to 15 years ago. We saw with, I remember when I was growing up, it was Baywatch, and Pamela Anderson was, the creme de la creme of all beauty. And then after Baywatch, I think it turned into like J-Lo for a little bit, and then butts became the big thing. So it was boobs at first, then it was butts, and it was always the other things, the other add-ons, like the hair and the nails and the makeup and the heels and everything else that women have to do to kind of present that silhouette, beautiful, pinup doll package. And I think right now we're at a place where we can kind of see what's happening in regards to the male gaze and how not only expensive, but how dangerous it is as well. So women are going under the knife. They're doing all of these things to get the male to be interested. And look at what happens in society. We spoke about this earlier. Some of the most beautiful women in the world can't get a man to be faithful. And they've had all of the procedures, right? Who had a butt bigger than Kim Kardashian? No one. Who had a body more beautiful than Halle Berry, Amber Rose? Name a woman in Hollywood that's gotten cheated on, and you're gonna see that she was under the knife or did something. So this is where we are. This is the male gaze, and there's this chase after it. And I think that's calming down now, but for some reason, we still see it. And I just wanted to call attention to the performance of femininity and how it cripples women. So I'm going to go back to my writings, and I wrote, yeah, that's the type of shit that I think about. And, just to continue on, how we tell small children that it's not about what's on the outside, but what's on the inside that counts. Yeah, that's a crock of shit. The biggest load of bullshit that you will ever hear or see. So when someone tells you not to judge someone based on what's on the outside and it's all about what's on the inside, we know that that's a lie. And we are actually lying to children when we tell them things like that because no one judges people based on what's on the inside. For the most part, human beings are highly superficial, and we've become highly superficial because we are living in patriarchy. We're living in a capitalist society where you are treated based on what you look like, not on who you are. This is why some of the most vile people who get away with a lot of shit are beautiful. Beautiful people, because this is the past that we give the pretty. This is the privilege that comes with it, right? And we've seen this, or and throughout society, they had these investigative studies. I remember one on that show 2020 back in the day where they put two women on the side of the road, and one woman had a they put two women on the side of the road, I'm sorry, with a flat tire. So both women had a flat tire. One woman was frumpy dressing, like she didn't have any makeup on, her boobs weren't sticking out. And the other woman looked like, the Pamela Anderson type, and they wanted to see how many men stopped for the frumpy woman versus the woman who had her boobs out. And of course, as you know it, the woman who had her boobs out got her tire changed, 17 times more than the woman who dressed frumpy. The woman who dressed frumpy, I think maybe one person helped her with her tire, but that was just one out of hours of her waiting there. So what is the message behind a story like that? The message is, you're not even worthy of helping if you don't look good enough for me to help. You're not even worthy of assisting if you don't look good enough for me to assist. And this is masculinity at play, in my opinion. This is the masculine. This is the man constantly needing something to um, satisfy his gaze. This is just what it is. And so I also wrote, it's a bullshit. And it's bullshit because it's not true. And we know it's not true because we exist in a society that rewards the pretty. Beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. Beauty stands in front of you and she performs so that her life can be somewhat easier. So before you claim that something is empowering, ask yourself if this, are the people in power doing this? Are the people in power participating this, or are the people in power manufacturing this for you to participate in? If you say the answer is no to that question as to whether or not something is empowering, then it's not empowering. None of the participation in femininity is empowering. It's not, because men don't do it. They don't. They don't have to. The male goal is to accumulate wealth, and he can only accumulate massive amounts of wealth is if he convinces you that you need the products that he's selling. Once you get out of that hamster wheel of purchasing and hoarding, and there's this whole culture on TikTok, and we've seen it, of the hoard. Well, this is new hoarding to me, new beauty hoarding, and that further cripples women as well. The countless amount of dollars that women spend on getting pretty is also crippling to the female economy, in my opinion, stabilizing to the male economy because you're making these men very rich. When you decide to buy 17 types of eye patches, 19 types of night creams, all of that goes to a male. When you look at the beauty industry and the beauty manufacturing industry, none of them are really owned by any women. Hair care industry as well, especially we could talk about the Black community. I've read, how you go into the beauty salon, not the beauty salon, but the hair supply store, and you kind of walk in and you see these countless types of hair oils and hair gels and grease and all. Very rarely you would see a woman own anything on that shelf. The one that I did know of was Carol's daughter from back in the day, but I think she sold it. I don't even know. I haven't seen Carol's daughter forever, but I remembered that was one that I saw that was owned by a Black woman, and she kind of sold it off. But for the most part, if you look at hair oils like Blue Magic, Pink Lotion, those are not owned by women at all. And so I wanted to continue, and I said, you are once again sold bullshit. And I love also talking about how sad I think women are and how remarkably clever I think men are in getting women to perform to this capacity. I'm not sure how this happened. And then sometimes I have to sit back and think that, how did we get here? How did we get to a place that when it comes to just surviving, we have to put on a uniform a uniform in order to survive. How did we get here? How did women get so finessed by the male? Is it childbirth? Is it sex and thought transference? Is it male presence in general? How did women get to this place of self depreciation? The title of this live is How Femininity Cripples Women and How These Performances Stifle Her Growth and Makes Her Respect or Makes Him Respect Her Less. I'm sorry. Um, that's the thing with men that I have noticed. They are not attracted to, well, no, they are attracted to all women who tickles their fancy, but there is no respect after that attraction. That's it. He may be attracted to you, but he does not necessarily respect you. He looks at you as an object. And we see this all the time. The man will respect the woman who does not participate. Then the woman who participates and then cries that she doesn't get the response that she set out to get. And I think what we're seeing on a mass scale is women are being bullied to participate, and women are being bullied to participate so that they can survive. So I'm not sure whether or not putting on makeup and donning this uniform, this suit of discomfort, if you will, has a lot to do with what she wants to do. I think it's more so she's just trying to make it to everyday life. She's trying to make it home. She's trying to make it to work. So if her looking presentable gets her in society being treated a little better than she would have been if she didn't look the part, then maybe that's why she's doing it. But one will never know. I'm just saying, or my angle is femininity cripples women because when she does participate in some things, and we'll go down the human, not the human body, but yeah, the human body, we'll go down the entire makeup of what I see in regards to female performance of femininity. We're going to get into high heels. We're going to get into like acrylic nails. We're going to get into makeup. We're going to get into BBLs. And we're also going to get into hair care. And we could talk about that. And we could talk about all of these things that women participate in that removes them from their rightful standing body as it is on its own. And I think there's a move away from that. The male does not respect the woman in her rightful body without um, I guess, tweaks or adjustments. She has to kind of adjust herself to the trend at the time. And I remember when I was growing up, women did wear makeup. They absolutely did. But the makeup that they wore in the 80s and 90s is nothing like the makeup that you see girls doing today with 700,000 steps and, copious amounts of product. I'm not really sure how that happened. I'm not really sure how what one would consider drag makeup became everyday makeup for the average woman. And I don't know if that has to do with male interference and him telling women that, well, your makeup is not as good as my makeup. So maybe there's something in that too. I'm just not sure because I don't personally wear makeup. I know a lot of women who do, and it takes a lot of time out of their day. That's another thing in regards to femininity and how it cripples women. It also robs women of time. It robs you of this precious time. So while you could be doing something else, you're sitting there for an hour getting your face ready. And the narrative is, no, I put on this makeup to make myself feel better. But why is that so? Why do you not feel your best with your natural face? That's just it's just alarming to me that so many women who do wear makeup on a daily basis, they will scream to you that they wear it for them. So then my question is, and if you are listening to this, you can comment about makeup then and why you feel that your natural face is not a good enough face to present to the world and your makeup face is a better selection for you. I wanted to talk about that because when we do talk about makeup and we talk about these industries, we know that the makeup industry is unregulated. We have no idea what's in these products. So when you hear Charlemagne the God or DJ Envy say things like, oh, you 20-year-olds are aging like milk. Is it the makeup that a lot of women are wearing? We would never know. We would never know. So these are things that I like to talk about because it just makes you think a little about what we're doing and what we as women, biological women, are participating in. It's expensive and it's owned by men. And the advertising, the marketing is always geared to you to make you kind of feel like shit. There's this beauty standard out there, the glass face standard, the perfection. This is what I feel a lot of women go after. And this is very, it's not realistic. It's very filter culture. We know we spoke about filters, or I spoke about filters before and how dangerous filters are, because once the filter is off and you see your natural face, so many women slip into depression when they see how they naturally look without a filter. And that's dangerous as well. So when I do talk about men and them being chaotic, these are their inventions. This AI, this transhumanism, this illusion, this delusions. It's always not grounded in reality. And this is where we know he loves to participate and play around in, because this is his happy place when things are not real. But then there's a cost to things not being real, and it spills over to the female because she's the main consumer of the bullshit. She's the main one who's going out there and spending her entire paycheck on a makeup compact that he manufactured and sold to her. So we just have to talk about all of those things as well. And I wanted to get into some of my writings. I do have an article to read about the beauty industry, and I also wanted to talk about the how women are also bullied into performing, and how this bullying, in my opinion, comes from um, just the male in his nature. And I can't blame the male totally. We have to also take responsibility as women for what we allow to perpetuate in our lives. And men can only suggest it. But if women participate in it, then she's at fault. And that's taking responsibility. And a lot of women don't take responsibility. Radical feminism also points the finger to women as well and say, well, this is the reason why this is happening, instead of just blaming the male for anything, because the male really can't do much if there's no one to kind of help him do it. And women, sadly, help him get to the point of making women feel like shit because they are participating in it. And we see that all the time. We see this all the time. So we have these instances where women are bullied into participating. She's bullied into engaging. She's bullied into doing all of these things. And instead of that being recognized and halted, it's kind of like, well, what else can she do? There's a lot that she can do. And one of the things that she can do, the most powerful thing that she can do, is not participate. That's 4B in a nutshell. Not participating is more radical than participating and then going on a protest and crying about how you participated and you still didn't get the respect that you were looking for. Stop participating. Femininity and the practice of femininity cripples women. It just cripples women. And we see this all the time. Her standing body is assaulted with these practices. And this is a major side note, but I just wrote this earlier because I was thinking about how women are being bullied to participate with biological men now. And it's so funny how this is all being set up in front of us to kind of digest. But this is just, again, about women and their participation, biological women and their participation in these spaces where men are allowed to intrude. So I put, women are not being bullied to participate. And this is a major side note in response to my last point. Men are not bullying women to participate, also that she can be humiliated when she does lose on a public scale. This is the hate that men have for women. And in reference to her performance, we see so much in society where biological men are competing with women, and the organizers behind these competitions force these women to perform, force these women to perform, or don't tell them that, for example, a trans-identified male is participating and a sure winner has long been selected, also that the biological woman can perform and lose, and he, as the male, gets exalted. This is how much the male hates the female and wants her gone. He has to humiliate her on a public scale. And this is just a side note. And I was just thinking about this earlier because I saw another article about a 29-year-old trans-identified male entering a skateboard competition where he beat the brakes off of a 10-year-old little girl, and he took home the $500 or 500-pound first prize, and she took home the $200 or pound second prize, and everyone is kind of losing their shit because this trans-identified male is now identifying as a younger class, and it's just weird. But I was just trying to kind of like bring all of that together and talk about how little girls and women are forced to perform, and we're forced to be humiliated in these public arenas where we have to kind of deal with losing publicly to a male. So when you set yourself up to perform in a circus, don't be surprised when you get laughed at. For centuries now, we've seen this with women, right? They decide to participate, they get laughed at, and they don't understand why. For centuries, women have taken to extreme beauty regimes to get the attention of the male. From foot binding in ancient China to corset binding to even female genital mutilation, this is her burden with being born female. She is never given the privilege to just exist and be selected for love based on that basic existence. Her existence needs to be jazzed up a bit so that she can present herself in society. She was told she needed to be beautiful to survive, and this is the biggest lesson that the biological male taught her. He is an expert in femininity because he constructed it for his desire and his own sexual gratification. He needed something to look at and to distract him from what he should be doing, and she fit the bill. How did he tell her to perform? Great question. In my opinion, he told her to perform in a way in which she would not be able to protect herself from him. Can I say that again? If you are liking this content, can you please double tap the screen in TikTok and also like the live in YouTube land and share it? But can I ask that question again? Thank you so much for being here, by the way, but this is what I wrote. In my opinion, he told her to perform in ways in which she would not be able to protect herself from him. I'm going to serve you beauty, but I need for you to digest this and also be unable to resist me. Does that make any sense? I'm going to say it again. The femininity that he convinced her to perform made her standing body no match to defend herself from his wild advances. And I'm just going to give you a few examples that I wrote down earlier. He made sure that she was not grounded. High heels. He made sure that she couldn't make a strong fist. Very long acrylic nails. He made sure she was uncomfortable. Tight, restrictive clothing. He made sure that her pores were susceptible to toxicity, makeup, hair care products, etc. All of these industries, including women's menstrual cycle supplies, are owned by men. Men control all of it. If you go and you look, Always, Tampax, Stay Free, Maxi Pads, tampons, all of that is owned by men. There are no women who own these companies. And so when recently there was a boycott of Always, not because of the Dylan Mulvaney thing, but because it was found out that they were putting, I think it was paint thinner and menstrual cycle products in pads. And then when they find out that paint thinner and all of these other chemicals were put in pads to, I guess some would say that it's a conspiracy because anytime a woman has an inclination of anything that's happening, men will always say that she's a quack and it's a conspiracy. But what was said, and this is a Reddit space, and it's been deleted, but they said that the Always maxi pad, tampon, they put chemicals in their products so that women can bleed more, therefore buying more product. And then when I think they were questioned about their practices and what chemicals they were using on their menstrual cycle pads. And I don't know if they refused to answer or they just basically listed the ingredients. And you can find the ingredients in all of these menstrual products that women use. And it's just so interesting that, here's an item that women have to bleed on. And even that men control. And even in controlling that, he's disgusting in his behavior. He can use organic cotton. He can use products that would be beneficial to you and your body, but he won't because it's always about making more money at your expense. So you can look that up for the Always Tampax and Stay Free pads and tampons are all owned by biological men. So it makes sense that that these men removed the woman symbol on their products to make room for the trans-identified male and his monthly cycle that he claims to endure every 28 days. This is a man's world, and the frontier that they are now trying to take over is womanhood. You are the next frontier, and they want to ensure that you being uncomfortable is the primary goal. So everything that you put on your body, everything that you decide to participate in is something that is uncomfortable. And in regards to the conquering of womanhood, I believe he will be successful because biological women are very open and they're very accepting to everyone other than other biological women. And we see this all the time. A biological woman will, women will fight and harm each other, but they'll never, band together to kind of rage against the machine. It'll never happen. So when 4B says to separate from the male, it's not because the male is hated, even though hatred for the male is totally justified, because we've seen historically how much the male has hated women. It is because the male brain is chaotic and is filled to the brim with drama and restlessness. Why is he restless? He is restless because he is the middle child in a patriarchy woman dynamic and doesn't know what to do with his anger and him not being the center of attention. You are performing for a temperamental child who secretly wants to be you and puts you to the task to perform for him. So remember what I said about performing femininity and how much the male hates you. The femininity that he convinced you to perform made you and your standing body no match to defend yourself from his advances. I'm going to keep saying that. So let's look at high heels and how high heels, is presented for women to participate in. So heels, I wrote, ungrounds you and prevents you from free movement, from running away in the event of emergency. If you are not trained in running in heels, wearing heels and potentially being in any form of danger puts you at risk. You are not grounded. Your heels are not on the ground. You are on the balls of your feet, and this is uncomfortable. Long-term effects of constantly wearing heels is also apparent as well. They call them bunions, long-term knee problems, and lower back pain are all issues associated with high heels. Also, expense taken away from your financial resources. Some high heel manufacturers like Louis Vuitton, yeah, Louboutin, whose heels start at $2,000 to $3,000. This makes him very wealthy, and the drive for his heels comes from the materialistic preoccupation with wealth and having a label on your body. Some high-end products that these men manufacture cost pennies to make, but he is sure to overcharge you just for the label and status symbol of that product in question. Many of the products that we see, many of the labels that we see women engage in and adore, they don't really cost a lot to manufacture. If you go and you research where these products are being made, a lot of them are being made in sweatshops, a lot of them are being made by children, a lot of them are being made by people who come from other countries and they work in factories, and it costs them nothing to make these products, but they will put it on the market and sell it to you for $3,000, $4,000 because they know that they've already manufactured it. They already put their label on it. They already marketed it. They already put it in the media to make it seem like this is an exclusive product. And you were finessed into participating again. This is the whole point. You were finessed into participating. Remember when the Birkin bag phenomenon happened? And these bags are, I read somewhere that these bags are like $20,000 and every celebrity had one and everyone had one. This is what I'm talking about. You are being finessed to participate. And a lot of the times, what you're participating in is nonsense because after a while, these products, they mean nothing. Right? And there was this whole instance of, I think there was a Birkin bag article, and it said how, I think it was Beyonce who said something to the effect of she has 1,000 Birkin bags in her basement, meaning like they're nothing now. So you see what happens when women participate? Your participation sometimes is a waste of time because when the trends change, then the thing that you spent $20,000 on was just a bag that you didn't even really need to buy. So I also wrote how some high-end products that these men manufacture cost pennies to make, but he is sure to overcharge you just for the label and status symbol of that product in question. These dealings cripple women economically and creates more wealth and ground revenue for the male. Most of the beauty industry is just that. They make you hate yourself all so that they can sell you shit. That is the game plan. You are not independent thinking or forward or whatever you have to tell yourself to make yourself feel better about yourself. You have been programmed and you have been programmed in this capitalist society to consume and to spend. And whatever these men decide to sell shit, whenever they decide to sell you shit, they always keep your insecurities in mind. And how do they know about your insecurities? They know about your insecurities because it was him who set the bar at to what he felt was attractive. And this is worse in the Black community. We spoke about this before. And I think even there's a few people who spoke about this. You know, there's You Love the Cat. There's a few people who spoke about how men participate in tearing down women and tearing down their self-esteem. And I think it was another sister who said something to the effect of, you know, the Black man is a featurist, he's a texturist, he's a colorist. And to his female counterpart, he does not mince words in how he sees her and his desire for women who look nothing like her. And she still performs. She performs, though, and in that performance, she put herself into debt in trying to keep him interested. Back to heels. Think about it. If your feet are not even grounded to the earth, how are you able to run properly? Just think about that. Organically, this is just unnatural for you, and it's unnatural to your standing body to be constantly on the balls of your feet. It's uncomfortable, it's stress to your muscles, and it's also damaging to your feet. Originally worn by men and the very wealthy, high heels trickled its way down to the feet of women, and the higher the heel, the sexier she became. And this ungrounded, heightened elevation from floor level not only pleased him, but made her all the more uncomfortable. I think sometimes there's something sick and twisted in beauty where the more uncomfortable you are, the better it is for the male. I think there's something sick and twisted about him liking to see you twist and contort yourself into these situations where you're just uncomfortable and you have no freedom of movement, because that's what it is as well. When you are performing femininity, you do not have the freedom to just be in your standing self as you are when you, for example, wake up in the morning and you are at your most comfortable. When your body is restricted, you are restricted. And when you are restricted, in my opinion, it brings back that message of you as woman here are not free. So when you do place women into these practices of femininity, it further drives home the notion that you are not free. You do not have freedom. And you do not have freedom because this is the way I want for you to dress. This is the way I want for you to look. And you are constricted and you are confined in that. And when I say confined in that, so many women at one point ran out and got BBLs, fake boobs, nose jobs, just name it. Anything that the male deemed attractive, women kind of went out and participated in that. So I think there's something really sick and twisted about that this culture of beauty that's this suit of discomfort that men kind of like women to participate in. Because the more uncomfortable you are, the less you can do mentally. Does that make sense? He's always comfortable. When you look at the male and how he performs or what he decides to put on, his heels are never high unless he's Kevin Samuels, right? But he's always comfortable. Everything that he does in regards to his beauty regimen is based in comfort. From the haircut to the suit to the slacks to the shoes to the floor, he's always comfortable. But you, on the other hand, it's a whole different story. And I think he enjoys watching women jump through these hoops to see how far will she take it. And under the knife is as far as she took it. Under the knife is as far as she went, because when she did go under the knife, a lot of the times she didn't even wake up. So this is what has happened. There was a time that I remember Dr. Miami was at his height, his biggest popularity. And he was at that time doing, it was BBL tax season. Remember that? Women were using their tax refunds to go out there and get plastic surgery. And this is at the time period where the goal was to have the body that interested the Black male. I also wanted to kind of read this article, and it talks about this is the global cosmetic industry um, gcimagazine.com, and it says, report, almost two-thirds of executives in the beauty industry are men. And it says the MBS Group has partnered with CEW UK and ScienceMagic.inc to develop a report on the status of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, in the beauty industry. The study concluded that there is a desire for progress and many initiatives in place, but there is still room for improvement, specifically in the percentage of companies with diversity and women in leadership roles. It also says the study reached out to the 100 largest beauty companies operating in Europe to gather quantitative and qualitative data on the industry leadership teams. And it says the group reports hesitancy among leaders in beauty to discuss diversity issues. Of the 100 companies requested for interviews, less than 50% responded. In one case, a company opted out of the case study despite excellent performances and advanced strategies in DEI. Isn't that interesting? When it comes to including women in an industry that she's almost 95% supporting, there's no inclusion on the ownership side of things. There's no inclusion of her in that area. She can only participate if she's spending. But when it comes to owning, she's not allowed a seat at the table. That's just really interesting to me. It says, per the report, more than 65% of executive committee seats in the beauty industry are held by men. Of respondents, 51% have no ethnic diversity on their executive committee, and 48% have no ethnic diversity on their board of directors. No diversity. Some opportunities for growth highlighted by the study include the potential for businesses to adapt to changing standards and adjust leadership teams to reflect beauty's increasingly inclusive marketing and products. Since beauty consumers' base remains predominantly female, businesses should strive to reflect that in its leadership teams, building a group that can relate to those needs of its primary consumers. Yeah, we don't see that at all. So women are participating, but they're spending. They're not owning and they're not allowed to own. These are areas that women cannot penetrate because if they could penetrate them, they would have, right? And it says a lack of, the article continues to go on, and it says a lack of female talent pipeline is often cited as a blocker to progress gender diversity. But per the report, there was a plethora of female talent in the beauty sector, proving companies an opportunity to promote homegrown female talent into senior roles. The MBS group reports that despite some of these challenges, there are still plenty of best practices across the sector from inspirational businesses of all sizes. I'm going to read that again. It says the MSB group reports that despite some of these challenges, there are still plenty of best practices across the sector from inspirational businesses of all sizes. According to the study, the industry overall has highly comprehensive DEI frameworks, best in class academy schemes, and forward thinking partnerships with external organizations. I mean, it sounds cute, but it's just not enough. If women are the primary consumers of this industry, why isn't she represented at the height of the industry? This is just what I'm talking about. When we say that femininity cripples women, this is just one area. You're not even allowed to be present in something that women are keeping up. Women are the ones who keep the makeup industry running like a well-oiled machine. Women are the one who are keeping the hair care industry running like a well-oiled machine. There are so many industries that women keep running well, and they don't even keep it running for their benefit because there's no regulation. The ingredient list for a lot of these products are not made public, and we see this all the time. And that's an issue, and that's crippling. And it's crippling because you have no idea what's going on. And I think this is what I said before in regards to women being in the dark about a lot of the things that they consume and what they put on their bodies. So we spoke about high heels and we spoke about how when you do wear high heels, one, it's not good for your feet. Two, it's not good for your lower back. Three, it's not good for your knees. And four, it doesn't ground you. And you need to be grounded so that you can be safe. You always need to be safe. You always need to be safe. And I don't think people associate safety with being comfortable enough, and they should. Because a lot of the times, the things that women, or the way that women, a lot of the times when they go out and the things that they put on, it's not comfortable. And there's so many studies about that. The woman who wears high heels and she's carrying a 10-pound bag every day and she's wondering why she's having back pain. These are the things that I'm talking about. You have to treat your body better in order to be mentally clear. And you can't be mentally clear if you are uncomfortable all the time. And no one can tell me that high heels are comfortable. Some may claim that they're comfortable because they've been conditioned to say that, but if that were the case, there wouldn't be so many complaints about women having knee problems, bunion problems, back problems, so on and so forth. I have another article that I wanted to kind of read to you guys, but hold on. So it says wearing high heel shoes throughout the day or throughout your day or for long periods of time places added stress and pressure on various parts of your body. This extra stress can harmfully affect not only your knees, but also your hips, lower back, and Achilles tendon. It says high heels change the wearer's walking pattern. The average person who regularly sports heels takes shorter and more forceful strides when walking than those who regularly wear flat shoes. These types of steps can put extra pressure on the knee joints, which may lead to osteoarthritis, the erosion of cartilage between bones, causing bones to rub against each other. It also says when wearing heels, the body must adjust and shift its overall weight and center of gravity to compensate for the heel of the shoe. The higher the heel, the higher the risk of lower back, hip, and knee issues, like I said earlier. But I don't want you to believe me. I want you to, always find a source. And this is from the orthocenter.com. With habitual wearing of heels 2 inches or higher, the Achilles tendon and calf muscles can face changes in shape. As the shoe heel pushes up the human heel, the Achilles tendon and calf muscles are facing increased pressure. And then it says the tendon may shorten and the muscles can stiffen and reshape. This can occur in individuals who frequently wear heels and can create pain in the body's lower extremities. And then it goes on to say, after years of high heels, after years of high heel wear and body readjustments due to the shoes, you may experience discomfort when wearing flat shoes or walking barefoot. The body will have adapted to the shape of the heels, causing irritation when other types of shoes are worn. And this is what it says. This is what this is Dr. Bruce Carter, and he says, how to prevent or lessen the effects of painful shoes. And he says, change your shoe choice. Go for flat shoes or shoes that provide more support and cushion. So, any shoe that shortens your natural stride when you are walking, is a bad selection. You don't want your stride to be shortened. You want for your stride to be natural to how you regularly walk when you don't have on high heels. Okay, so this is basically what he's saying. Switch up your exercise routine, minimize the amount of days you do wear heels, and go for a shorter heel. So we spoke about heels, and we spoke about, I think we spoke about BBLs a little bit, but let's move on to another practice that I've seen that I wanted to bring attention to, and how I feel that this practice cripples women, especially when it comes to, again, our standing bodies, and how if there were to be an attack, and not to tell you to mentally prepare yourself to be attacked. I don't want to put that out there that you should just walk around and think every minute that someone is going to attack you. But again, you should always be ready just in case some shit happens to you, right? This is New York City, and for the most part, anything could happen. So it's good to kind of always be vigilant in how you do present to someone who can accost you. It just doesn't matter. And I always look at one, high heels is an issue in regards to your standing self, and also like really long acrylic nails. There's a trend, because I saw this on Reddit, of women who are opting out of really long acrylic nails and only to kind of use them when there's a big event, or when they have like another ceremony or an art show or something to that effect where they need their nails done. But I always felt that when you do see women with really, really long acrylic nails, how uncomfortable it is to kind of like you can't, your ability to make a fist is restricted when you do have really long acrylic nails. So I always think of that in regards to like combat. If someone were to try to attack you and you had these high heels on, this tight dress or whatever you have on, and long acrylic nails, your ability to defend yourself is limited. And I always said that if you have these two hands, and your hands are your first means of defense, right? And your hands are not even able to be used to make a fist to defend yourself, because of something that you're putting on your nails, I just felt that that's a way that women are crippled when it comes to performing femininity. And some people would say, oh, no, you're going too far. That's bullshit. I can make a fist with 17-inch nails on. I haven't seen it happen, but there's some women who would disagree. And that's fine too. You can disagree. If you do like long acrylic nails, that's wonderful. But this live is just, food for thought, just things to kind of think about. And one of the things when we talk about acrylic nails, we have to talk about the chemicals involved in that. And I'm going to read you a Reddit piece, but I'm also going to read you a little bit of what I wrote. And I wrote that the nail art industry racks in a cool $3.6 billion a year globally. The industry is saturated to bring in new designs, new techniques, and new products to the consumer, and the main consumers of the industry are women who are subjected to toxic fumes and unregulated practices. I always thought about how this industry affects women and how nail art, especially very long acrylic nails, renders her hands useless, therefore crippling her and making her two most needed body parts in defect for all the purposes of beauty. Your fingertips were designed to grasp, feel, hold, and more. And I always thought of it as funny as to how when these nails are worn, your ability to do what is natural to you is now limited. When your hands are limited in protecting yourself, and this is just, one way as to how we are crippled when we practice beauty. When your hands are limited and you can't do much with them, then you're up for grabs at any time, right? So it says, along with the countless dollars that are spent on acrylic nails, the Black community is plagued with nail salons owned by individuals who are not Black and who make sure to show Black women that their dollars are welcomed, but their presence is not. Not being able to make a fist to defend yourself because you have on acrylic nails is very telling. Every time a woman performs femininity, her original self is crippled or reduced in some form to make her less strong, less agile, and less ready for a potential threat or potential attack. Is this deliberate? I'm not sure if this is deliberate, but it's just something to think about. And um, I wanted to read about the dangers of acrylic nails and how harmful they are in regards to the fumes and all of the other things that I've read about acrylic nails and them being associated with causing cancer. And this is just what I've read in verywellhealth.com. And the article is entitled, Do Acrylic Nails Cause Cancer? Long-term exposure may increase risk for manicurists. And this is what it's talking about. And when they talk about manicurists, they might as well be talking about you as well, because you're getting it placed on your nail. So you are also exposed. And it says acrylic nails are a popular type of artificial nail used to add glamour, length, and strength to natural nails. If you've heard rumors that acrylic nails could be linked to cancer, you might be worried about the potential for fingernail cancer or skin cancer under your nail after getting a manicure, excuse me. However, the potential link between acrylic nails and cancer is far more complicated than that. It is the exposure to a combination of chemicals used in the manicuring process and ultraviolet UV light, sometimes used to cure or dry nails that could increase the risk of developing cancer. Or it says I'm sorry, let me read that again. It says it's the exposure to a combination of chemicals used in the manufacturing process, and ultraviolet light is sometimes used to cure or dry nails that could increase the risk of developing cancer of the nose, throat, skin, blood, or lymphatic system. That's another thing, too. I've always said that nail polish in general, of any color, is just not good to put on your nail bed, because if something were to um, show on your skin, or show on your fingernail, you wouldn't really be able to see it. You know what I mean? And I know that there was one instance where this young lady had these black lines in the middle of, and then she later found out that it was cancer. But imagine if her nails were, if she had paint on her nails and she couldn't really see her nail bed, that could have went on and it could have been much worse. But, this is why I don't think wearing nail polish is a good idea, but some people do wear it, and I guess that's fine too, but I just don't think it's a good idea to kinda wear it. So let me go back to the article. And it says, that said, it's important to note that some studies have examined cancer risks after decades of high exposure, not the occasional manicure. Furthermore, results have been mixed, so more research is needed to clarify just how risky working at a nail salon or getting manicures could be. And it says, what are acrylic nails? And it goes down and it talks about cancer causing chemicals. And it says applying acrylic nails can expose you to a combination of chemicals that have been linked to cancer. This may be why some research suggests that long term nail salon employees could be at risk, at an increased risk for developing certain cancers. And then it says cancer risk to nail salon employees. One 2019 study in environmental pollution found that nail technicians who had been working for over 20 years had a significantly higher risk of developing cancer, possibly due to heightened exposure to harmful substances. And the substances that they list are benzene. This is a carcinogen and it's linked to blood cancers, including leukemia and multiple myeloma, as well as non-Hodgkin lymphoma, a cancer of the lymphatic system. It is found in nail polishes, nail polish removers, nail hardeners, and fingernail glue. I didn't even know that, but okay. And it has also here another chemical. It's called formaldehyde, formalin, or methylene glycol. This is another carcinogen and is linked to an increased risk of leukemia, nasal pharyngeal cancer as well. It is found in nail polishes, nail hardeners, and in disinfectants. So everyone should really be, careful what you are consuming and what you are putting on your body just in the name of beauty. And just to continue with that, it says health risk from acrylic nail fumes. That chemical scent you notice the moment you walk into a nail salon comes from the volatile organic compounds. These compounds evaporate easily and have been linked to many health problems such as headaches, irritation of the eyes, skin, and throat, difficulty breathing, pregnancy complications, and cancer. It also says, it says ultraviolet lamps and skin cancer. And I think the ultraviolet lamps are for when you do go out and you decide to get like what they call a gel manicure. And then they have you stick your little hand in that oven thing. It looks like a little easy bake oven that you kind of stick your hand in. And it doesn't really get hot, but it does. I guess it turns a different color. So this is what it's saying. It's saying ultraviolet lamps and skin cancer. It says although acrylic and gel nails aren't always dried under UV lamps or lights, they often are. And it says long term exposure to UV light, the kind emitted by the sun, tanning beds, and nail curing lamps can cause skin damage and could in turn increase your risk of developing skin cancer. That doesn't necessarily translate to a worrisome link between manicures and skin cancer, though. While more research is needed, a 2014 study published in JAMA Dermatology suggests that the risk of getting skin cancer from getting your nails done, even numerous times, is likely very low. Tanning beds, on the other hand, emit far more UV light, and they're to blame for an estimated 419, 245,000 cases of skin cancer in the US every year. So, this is a Reddit read, and I wanted to kind of go over this as well. And I think this was really cool because the question was, and this person is also deleted. I don't know why, but this person is no longer on Reddit, but the question is who stopped women who stopped getting acrylic nails, what was the reason? And this is just a question on the Reddit space or, on the in the it's the subreddit is called Axe Women, and it says women who stopped getting acrylic nails. What was the reason? One person wrote underneath this. Well, you go all the way down. It says this person wrote, "Got a girlfriend." Oop. Okay. Spicy. The next one is too expensive and they damage your nails. Also, I started loving the look of strong natural nails. That's one reason. Somebody said, yes, I hate that they used to drill on my natural nails to give it texture for adhesive, makes my nails super weak and would often break underneath the acrylic after a few days. Someone else wrote, as a nail tech, I don't recommend getting acrylic nails on a regular basis. Acrylics are harmful to the nails, and you're more likely to ruin your natural nail. But my main reason to not getting acrylic nails are because of chemicals. It can damage your health in the long run. And then someone wrote SNS dip powder or gel X nails are better, especially if you love long nails. And someone else wrote, they absolutely destroyed my nails. They were paper thin and breaking at the beds. Wow. Um, Someone wrote, honestly, it started to feel like a chore to go and get them done. Oh, that's an amazing point. And when we speak about how femininity cripples women, I think the robbery of time should also be taken into consideration because when a beauty regimen takes time away from your daily life, I think that's a problem. And it may kind of feel good to kind of get away and to just be like, well, I'm just going to go get my nails done today. But there's so much other things that you could be doing. And when you think about the amount of time that you sit in a nail salon, making an appointment, waiting, all of those things kind of add up. And I think when it comes to, we spoke about this before, time poverty and what time poverty means, and how there's some people, when it comes to time, they just don't have a lot of it. And imagine that you are working in a society where you're trying to make ends meet, and the little time that you do have for yourself, you're participating in these rituals to kind of, so that I guess he can think that your nails are sexy. I don't know. I don't know the reason why, but there's so many reasons as to why women should not get their nails done. And if you are going to get your nails done, now they have these alternatives where you can buy the press-on nails, and you can just like you can have a really cool set, and you can wear them when you need to go out. So there's people who sell those. I posted one girl on my page a while ago, but you can put those nails on, and I think you can take them off like the next day. I'm not sure because sometimes they come with glue, and I'm not going to tell you to put glue on your nails and then rip them off. No, don't do that. But if you have to, if you need to go out, you can always get a press-on set. And I think that's the wave now because I saw a few content creators on TikTok and everyone is selling a press-on set. So maybe women are kind of changing the way they do things in regards to acrylics. I'm not sure. Someone else said they're too expensive to keep up. Someone said, I am trying to feel beautiful with the natural parts of myself, dialed everything down, makeup wise, and such 90%, and I feel so much happier. And funny enough, I get more compliments this way now. And a few years ago, I would have never felt beautiful this way at all. So now I just take care of my natural nails. They are much healthier and beautiful. Good for her. It says, there's a few other comments. Low quality for a high price. Also, if I don't ask for extra sparkle that I also asked for in the first place and you still don't listen to me, please don't expect the normal tip I give. And joined BJJ and moi. Thai, gotta have short nails. Somebody else wrote, I'm a broke college student. I think I can survive with my natural nails, LOL. So there's a lot of women and they're moving away from natural nails. They're moving away from these types of beauty. But this is just to let you know what performing beauty looks like and how it can cripple you in other ways than you would think. You know, you're exposed to fumes, your nail beds are compromised. In regards to high heels, you take shorter strides. It's not good for you. It can lead to osteoarthritis, so on and so forth. So we're going to get into makeup next. So we did heels. I think we did BBLs. We did nails, acrylic nails. Now we're going to get into the makeup, and let's see about that. So I wrote, although you spend countless dollars consuming it, the makeup industry primarily sells to women, but the major manufacturers are 96% male. And the article we read before, that was in Europe, and in Europe it was 56%. So I think this is a global percentage. In order for this industry to thrive, they have to bank on you feeling like shit about your appearance as a woman. The same industry that is economically dominated by men makes sure to praise men when they are wearing a full face of makeup, but shame you into wearing that same full face of makeup to present yourself to the public. Men are embraced when they wear makeup a lot of the times, especially in the LGBTQ community. When men put on a full face of makeup, they're fierce, they're wonderful, everyone embraces them, and they also have the privilege and the luxury to kind of go out without a full face of makeup, and society will still accept them. Women, not so much. And we see this with how you see so many women refusing to leave the house if they don't have a full face of makeup on. A full face of makeup on to present yourself to the public. In your natural state as a woman, you are not accepted without that presentation. You are shamed, and it is said that your natural face symbolizes a lazy disposition and a lack of self care. And men can wear makeup on Monday and be praised for being brave and fierce, and on Tuesday, walk out of his home barefaced, and no one will comment on his lack of presentation or his 5 o'clock shadow. This is how the makeup industry and the performance of femininity cripples women. Not only are you spending precious time beating your face, as they call it, you are applying products to your open pores and have no idea what many of these products are made of. The makeup industry also profits from your low self esteem, and you actually give them money to continue in your exploitation. This is what you are reduced to. As your natural self, you are deemed unworthy. And the true message is that if you don't look the part of woman, then you, therefore, cannot really be seen as one. Performing femininity for the male gaze upholds his belief that women, real women, have a certain presentation and or look. And if this look is not upheld, then she, the woman, who is not performing femininity should not be revered to as woman. And with men, and their very simple mindset, if a woman is not performing femininity, then she therefore should not be respected. And we know that men have a warped sense of what women are. And we see this so much in our society where the only women that are praised when the male is presenting himself as woman is when everything is exaggerated. To me, that's not real womanhood. The exaggeration of femininity is what men have constructed in their minds as to what women should look like and what women are. But that's not womanhood. It's not womanhood. And I think women, a lot of the times, especially with the makeup industry, they are forced to kind of compete in this area. And this is why I think now you see so many women and they're actually putting on or going through the same like drag queen steps to wear makeup. Not to that extent, but you know what I mean. It's a lot of steps and it's a huge production. Whereas back in the day, especially when you look at things like the clean girl aesthetic. The clean girl aesthetic back in the day was for like the Latina sisters, the black girls, and your hair was pulled back in a tight bun. You had mascara, you had lip liner, and some gloss. That was it for the most part. Now, it's totally different. So I wanted to read this article called Here's How Makeup Affects Your Skin from the kalosmedicalspa.com. And it says that research shows that makeup products may impact your skin's health in numerous ways, but that does not mean you need to avoid the makeup counter. To help you feel more confident about your beauty routine, here are the side effects to look out for and what you can do to prevent common issues that cosmetics may cause. And also, I just wanted to point out that when reading these articles, you always have to keep in mind that the goal in a capitalist society is to kind of make you a consumer forever. They're never going to tell you to stop wearing makeup totally because then, you know, there's a lot of people who won't have employment because of that. They're never gonna tell you to outright stop something. They're never gonna tell you to totally stop participating because they need for you to be a consumer. This is why 4B is so dangerous to a capitalist society because once women start to withhold themselves in those aspects of dating, sex, marriage, and childbearing, it's crazy for what can happen out there. So they really need for you to participate. They may want you to kind of scale back, but they never want you to totally stop. And I think there is a fear with women totally stopping anything. Now that there's so many articles about the dating industry and dating apps and so on and so forth, and so many women are having that dialogue about deleting your dating apps. Look at how many people are affected by that. I don't think Bumble can ever recover, right? Because it's become an app for men to kind of prey on women. So back to this article and them kind of saying, but that does not mean you need to avoid the makeup counter. Yeah, they don't ever want you to stop doing something. They don't want you to. Because if you stop wearing makeup, then there's no need for you to get the amount of facials you would get at a medical spa because of makeup ruining your skin. So they need for you to participate in one thing so that they can have you as a client. So they're never going to tell you to stop doing something because they can easily say in this article, hey, stop wearing makeup. If they tell you to stop wearing makeup, will you ever go to them for skincare? No, because your skin won't be ruined from the makeup that they don't really want you to stop buying. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have to keep you in the hamster wheel. So they will never tell you to stop totally. They're going to tell you to scale back. They still want you to participate because when you do participate in ruining your skin, you will always have a need to have a dermatologist to kind of help you out with that the damage that you did. And so this is what it says. And just to keep that in mind when you do read these articles, the article can tell you to stop wearing makeup, but they won't. And it says negative effects of wearing makeup. How makeup affects your skin depends on the type of makeup you use, how often you wear it, how long it stays on your skin, and your skin's sensitivity. Many cosmetic products contain harsh ingredients that can compromise your natural protective barrier, allowing pathogens to enter your skin. And regular makeup wear, especially without proper cleansing, may result in side effects that may impact your skin's overall health. And we've seen this before. Women with terrible acne. And what do when they have their get ready with me videos and TikToks? They just pile more makeup on. And what do they say to you in the same breath when all of the comments are saying, hey, how about you pause on wearing the makeup for a little while? They say, no, I'm working with my dermatologist and he says that it's okay for me to put this makeup on. Even though I have cystic acne, the dermatologist says that it's okay. Of course, he's going to say that it's okay because you continuing to put makeup on a cystic acne situation forever makes you his client. You never get your skin clear, and that's what he wants. But of course, you can't say that to the girl, but that's basically what it is. And I don't think women look at the forest enough. They look at trees. Right? They'll spend all day focusing on one fucking tree. But if you tell them to kind of open your eyes to look at the bigger message here, it's kind of hard for them to do that. So the girl in question, yeah, cystic acne, her face is exploding. And instead of her stopping the makeup, no, she piles more makeup on top of the acne because her dermatologist said, "Oh, yeah, my skin doesn't need to breathe. That's not how pores work. That's not how it works. My dermatologist says that it's okay." And a year later, she's still struggling with the same cystic acne problem that she had in 2023. But she still has the dermatologist, the same dermatologist who's telling her, yeah, continue to wear makeup. If that's not evil, I don't know what else is. I really don't. I have no idea. But the goal is to always keep you a consumer. And when you practice femininity, you will forever be a consumer. Because when your knees are messed up from the heels that you wore for 10 years, you will now need to see about that osteoarthritis, right? When you have a fungi that developed on your nail bed from wearing acrylic nails, you're going to need a prescription for that. Yeah, same thing with makeup. It's always to keep you a consumer. And when you perform, this is what happens. So, yeah, the article goes on to read it says, clogged pores. Your pores are tiny openings in your skin around hair follicles and sweat glands that allow your skin to breathe and help move liquids and gases through the skin's surface. When makeup is left on the skin for long periods of time, your skin may react with breakouts, whiteheads, blackheads, bumps, and other skin issues. These issues may contribute to enlarged pores that are more visible and prone to chronic clogging. Then it says oily or dry skin. If you use products that are not made for your skin type, I'm sorry, your skin may become more oily or dry. Excessive oil production may contribute to clogged pores and breakouts. Extremely dry skin may result in rough, scaly patches that itch and even crack and bleed. Breakouts, right? Your skin may break out due to diet, lifestyle, or hormonal imbalances, but makeup can worsen existing breakouts and trigger more frequent breakouts. So remember the girl that I just spoke of, the girl with the cystic acne on TikTok. And I think now she's fine, but I'm not sure. But at the time, this happened a few years ago. At the time, she had really bad acne and she was seeing a dermatologist who told her, yeah, just keep piling the makeup on. It's fine. Here's this medication. Here's this cream. And she spent a year on that medication and on that cream, and there was no change. So instead of the dermatologist telling her, well, maybe you should, um, scale back on the makeup, she didn't want to. And that's basically what happened. And it says, makeup can worsen existing breakouts and trigger more frequent breakouts. Limit your makeup use if you have acne prone skin and choose oil free products that are non clogging, will not clog your pores. What is it? Comedogenic. Okay. And it also says premature aging. When worn for long periods of time, makeup clogs your pores and therefore limit collagen and elastin production in your skin, leading to lines and wrinkles. This is on top of exposure to the sun's damaging rays, which cause 90% of visible skin aging. So, in addition to washing off your makeup at the end of the day, wear sunscreen daily. Applying makeup is no substitute for sunscreen. I'm sorry. Applying makeup is no substitute for sunscreen. Skimping on sunscreen accelerates the classical signs of aging, such as lines and wrinkles, rough skin texture, skin laxity, vascular skin issues, and pigmentation changes. Again, this is a really good article because it's talking about all of these all of these issues, but my favorite is the health concerns. Okay, and that just goes back to what we're talking about here tonight. Um, Cosmetic products that contain toxic or carcinogenic cancer-causing ingredients may pose serious health risks. Unlike with medications, the FDA does not require cosmetic manufacturers to test their products for safety. This leaves the manufacturers themselves responsible for the safety of the ingredients and products. When manufacturers do test their products for safety, the focus is typically on short term side effects to the skin, such as an allergic reaction or irritation. Long term toxic or carcinogenic effects are difficult to identify with cosmetic products, and more research is needed to understand if low doses of certain ingredients can build up and eventually cause harm. We advise our patients to use trusted medical grade skincare brands which are thoroughly tested for safety and only available through a licensed physician. So all of the products that you see on Sephora shelves right now, not regulated. We don't know the long-term effects from those products at all. No one has any idea. That's wild. It's just so wild. It says the FDA does not require cosmetic manufacturers to test their products for safety. And it says, how can you care for your skin if you wear makeup daily or often? If you wear makeup often, fear not. Here are some ways to help treat and prevent negative effects to keep your skin healthy and glowing. One, wear makeup with gentle, non-clogging ingredients. Keep an eye on expiration dates. Wash your makeup brushes and sponges weekly, and so on and so forth. They give you, I can put the link in the bio, but that's basically it. Right? So, the makeup industry, high heels, acrylic nails, all of that performing is not good for your health. And I think women should stop performing, stop using these products. Away with the corset, burn the corset, all of those things, not participating, not making men more rich than they are, and getting rid of it all. I think that's a good idea, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I think it is a good idea. So let's read about BBLs because I think when it comes to BBLs, what we're seeing right now is that for the most part, women are not. I think the BBL craze has died down. Don't you think so? It was really bad maybe 5 years ago. Like when Kim K was at her height, and I think when she first got married to, I guess, Kanye, there was this whole thrill and this whole rush to kind of get that BBL procedure done. But now, I don't think the BBL is as trendy as it was at that time period. I don't know if you remember the time period that I'm speaking of when it looked like every flight from Miami looked like a hospital ward because everyone in the airport lobby was in a wheelchair because they all went and got a BBL procedure done. I think right now, it's died down significantly. I don't really see many women still trying to get BBLs at the same capacity that they were trying to get them before. But let's read about what makes Brazilian butt lifts so deadly. And this is an article on MedPage today, and it talks about, and it's written by Sophie Putka, and she's talking about what is the issue with these BBLs, and it says in surgical circles, the Brazilian butt lift BBL is known as the deadliest aesthetic procedure ever performed, and despite several calls to improve outcomes, recent data suggest mortality is only getting worse, especially in South Florida. Sunny, image conscious Miami is home to a substantial proportion of the country's high volume, low cost clinics where U.S. patients flock for the procedure. Despite wildly publicized deaths and changes in rules about performing the procedure, in Florida, researchers say it's still causing harm. And this is what women are going through so that they can be, I guess, picked by the male. And some women would like to have you believe, "Oh, no, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me." I don't think anyone would prefer to do something like this for them, especially with such a high risk. It's so risky to do this. And what's even more frustrating is that when you do decide to get these butt transfers, or you decide to kind of move fat from one part of your body and deposit it into another, it's not permanent. Your body will change. Your body will adjust to that. Some people spend so much time getting this procedure done, and maybe in 3 to 6 months, all of the fat is lost, countless dollars wasted for nothing. So you're getting these procedures and you don't really know the long-term effects. One of them being that it's not permanent. You may hop off of the table with the body of your dreams, but give it, a few cheeseburgers and some fries, and you're back at where you started. And that's just what it is, right? So the article continues to say, you have people from all over the United States coming to Florida, and they had these complications, and unfortunately, they either have to receive hospital care or they perish, said Pat Pasmino, a plastic surgeon and owner of Miami Aesthetic, who told the MedPage newspaper. And it's affecting the whole country, and it doesn't have to affect the whole country. But when there's a trend and celebrities participate in the trend, the average citizen believes that they also have to participate in that trend to kind of keep up with the Joneses, right? This is what I think is happening. So the article reads that it says that Pasmino and colleagues recently published an analysis of the factors that make South Florida a particularly dangerous place for BBLs, which is also known as gluteal fat grafting. They analyzed 25 BBL deaths resulting from pulmonary fat embolism, PFE, where fat globules traveled through the bloodstream and cut off circulation. Blocked pulmonary vessels can lead to respiratory failure and death. They found most of the deaths occurred after plastic surgery associations tried to make the product or the procedure safer. The most dangerous aesthetic procedure ever performed, the Brazilian butt lift, became popular over the past 2 decades, with procedures surging more than 800% over the last decade alone, from 7,382 in 2011 to 61,387 in 2021. That is crazy, according to the data from the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. And this is so heartbreaking because I think this surgery, even though it's so dangerous, was kind of popularized on social media. Remember how Dr. Miami used to have his Snapchat, and he would kind of show him performing a BBL, and he kind of made it seem like it was just a walk in the park. You come in and you just get a mommy makeover, and boom, it's over, right? And it says, whereas in the 90s, women prized big breast and thin silhouette. Now, wider hips and fuller buttocks are the ideal, plastic surgeons told MedPage today. Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that in the 90s, big boobs and being skinny, that was a thing? That was the aesthetic because of the rise of Pamela Anderson. And then it changed. And I think the change had a lot to do with, I want to say, J-Lo. J-Lo was the culprit of the booty obsession, because it's not that no one has ever saw a booty before, but I think because she's not a Black woman, and she'll tell you that, even though some people would say, "Oh, well, she's Puerto Rican, so she's of course." Yeah, I don't think J-Lo is running around saying that she's, proud to be brown. I don't think so. But I think with her butt coming on the scene, it kind of made, butts an obsession, or that's kind of how I saw it happen. I saw Pamela Anderson get waned out, and then J-Lo flooded in. And then when J-Lo kind of flooded in this scene, everyone kind of was obsessed with getting their butts done. Right? And he's saying that too. He said, whereas in the 90s, women prized big breasts and a thin silhouette, now wider hips and a fuller buttocks are the ideal. And even with the big breasts, even with the breast implants, how many women have you seen now say things like they developed autoimmune diseases because of their breast implants, and they were never told that this would be the case. There's so many women who've had their breast implants removed because they literally got sick. And one person from that genre or from that era was Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams has a huge rack, and I think I've always said she's sick now. If she were to kind of get those breast implants removed, you never know what could happen because I think she does have an autoimmune disease and she's kind of like, out there. But I remember back in the day, Wendy Williams had that figure, that Pamela Anderson, big, big jugs, big boobs, sitting under her chin. That was the aesthetic back then. And Wendy Williams is from that era. And you could see it because her butt isn't done, but her breasts are done. Because back then you didn't really need like to have that perfect hourglass shape. All you needed was a big set of boobs. So it says 40 years ago, it may have been Kate Moss or Pamela Anderson. He's saying the same thing that I said. And Mark Mulford, MD, Associate Clinical Professor of Plastic Surgery at the University of California, San Diego, told MedPage today, now it's Jennifer Lopez and Kim Kardashian, and they look very different from the America that existed 40 years ago. You see how time changes? So men determine what's hot, and then women kind of chase after that to kind of be that. So a man will say one decade, titties are in. And then in the next decade, no, boobs are in. No, not boobs, butts are in. Big, huge butts are in. Then in the next decade, oh, you have to have the complete set. I need the boobs and I need the butt. And women will run out of themselves and go get that done so that, she can always be the center of his eye, right? So I'm just going to read that again. He said 40 years ago, it may have been Kate Moss or Pamela Anderson. I don't know how old you are. You probably don't know who Kate Moss is, but you can look her up. Beautiful girl. Now it's Jennifer Lopez and Kim Kardashian. And then it says, he said during the BBL, a surgeon uses liposuction to remove fat from the abdomen, flanks, or back of an anesthetized patient. The surgeon then uses a syringe attached to a cannula to re-inject or graft the reserved fat into the buttocks. The cannula is inserted repeatedly deep under the skin, fanning out from a few small incision points to distribute the fat across different areas. It's known as a blind procedure, and surgeons can inadvertently injure the large vessels in the muscle or even inject fat directly in those vessels if the cannula goes too deep. The fat can travel via bloodstream to the heart and lungs, and deaths from such a pulmonary fat embolism can occur within hours of the procedure or even on the operating table. Sometimes this has happened when a patient was turned from a prone to a supine position on the operating table, putting pressure on the lower buttocks, according to Pasmino's analysis. It wasn't until recently that plastic surgeons realized some BBL procedures were going very wrong. Moffitt started performing BBLs at a time when only two other surgeons in the country were doing them. But as their popularity grew, he became alarmed by the reports of BBL-related deaths in journals and in conferences. So these men know that you ladies are dying on their tables, and they don't give a shit. They're going to keep performing these BBL surgeries because you keep showing up to pay for them. And you keep showing up to pay for them because this is what femininity is. Whatever the man says is hot, women run out and go try to get that. It's sad, but it's so true. The reason why change doesn't happen for women is because women continue to participate, even though they are always the damaged party in the scenario. You're always the damaged party. He's saying that this is a blind procedure. A blind procedure. And with more and more practice, it's not even getting better. So you would think that from 7,000 to what is the number, 61,000, that they would have probably gotten it right by now. Wrong. It's still an issue. So women need to see that, and this is how we're crippled. Is we're crippled because we still continue to participate, and we participate because we allow, I guess, men to kind of finesse us into telling, into believing what's beautiful. And at the time, it was Pamela Anderson, and then it was Kim K, and then it was Jennifer Lopez, and we saw them get the guy from how beautiful they were, and they did get the guy. But now what happened? Kim K is divorced. J-Lo is too. I think J-Lo is on what, marriage number 767? So what is it? I think women are seeing that now because the trend has died down from what it was. It's died down significantly because even though these women have these BBL procedures, they're still getting left. And they're getting left for women who don't even have all of that shit going on. So the article also says that given those concerns, Mofid and a group of surgeons formed the Aesthetic Surgery Education Research Foundation, ASERF, and in 2017, they published one of the first studies quantifying BBL deaths after, so many people have already died. What we found was just absolutely jaw-dropping and shocking, Mofid said. We had determined that this was likely one of the most dangerous operations in the world and certainly the most dangerous aesthetic procedure ever performed. Of the 692 plastic surgeons surveyed, 3% said they had had at least one PFE death, and 7% reported that at least one PFE from gluteal fat grafting. Mofid and colleagues estimated that the mortality rate for BBLs to be between 1 in 2,351 to 1 in 6,241. By comparison, cosmetic breast surgery has an estimated mortality rate of 1 in 72,000. Arthur Perry, MD, a plastic surgeon at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York, said any death from an aesthetic procedure is alarming. One death in a plastic surgeon's office, and you pretty much want to retire from medicine, he said. It's terrible. Remember, no one ever died of skinny buttocks, he said. It's not like you're in pulmonary failure, heart failure, or something like that, and we need to operate because you're going to die. He said the risk-benefit ratio has to be better in cosmetic surgery. But the aesthetic is not having a skinny butt. If you're going to have a big rack, then you're going to have a big butt to kind of match. And this is what men kind of got women to participate in. Finally, the perfect silhouette can be built in a hospital. And that's what he put out. If you ever looked up and in any old mechanic shop and you look at the wall, there's always the perfect silhouette. The big boobs, the big butt, the skinny waist, so on and so forth. And then the article continues to read, as Mofid and colleagues published their paper in 2017, the Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner had determined that PFEs was indeed the cause of death for 5 patients who had died in South Florida that year. The leaders of ASERF assembled a task force. They had plastic surgeons perform BBLs as they usually would on cadavers with color-coded fat and then dissected them. Wow. Based on the results, the task force issued a warning in 2018 that was widely distributed to members of plastic surgery societies. To avoid injuring blood vessels and risking PFEs, they warned surgeons should only inject into subcutaneous fat and not inject at a downward angle. They should also use a stiff cannula instead of one that could bend and accidentally inject deeper. The subsequent survey of plastic surgeons in 2019 revealed that the warning and a wider public education campaign had worked. The BBL mortality rate appeared to have dropped to 1 in 14,952. So I guess that was the remedy, right? To kind of teach these men how to do this job correctly so that you're not killed when you go to get this procedure done. I think it's better to avoid the procedure altogether. Yeah, that would be a better idea. What do you think? If you're still listening, thank you for being here. I know it's a little late, but I'm working, I'm up, I'm having a good time. It's good to be here. Thank you. If you are in YouTube land, please like the live. Please share the live. If you are in TikTok land, I'm not looking at my phone, but if you are in TikTok land, thank you for being here as well. Also, to the ladies watching in the Zoom right now, because we do have a members only spot on the website. And I keep the Zoom open for the ladies in case they just want to pop in and, you know, do whatever, however women want to meet up and talk shit. The Zoom is always open. So I play the lives in the Zoom, and I also have the open exercise Zoom hours as well. So I think the ladies are watching me there because the Zoom is, I have another laptop and I kind of run it and just leave it. And that's the thing with Zoom. You can stay, if you have a Zoom account, you can stay on Zoom for like maybe 36, 48 hours and it won't shut off or something crazy. It just won't shut off. But thank you so much for watching. To all of everyone watching, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to get to another article, just 1 minute. And the reason why I wanted to read this article is because it goes back to what I said when I spoke about when women stop performing, things change. So now, instead of seeing a trend of women running after the BBL procedure, what we're now seeing in 2024 is a trend of women trying to get rid of the BBL procedure. They're trying to get rid of it. They don't like it anymore. So here's an article from plasticsurgery.org, and the article is entitled Brazilian Butt Lift Reversals and Buttocks Restoration. And it says the Brazilian butt lift is still a popular procedure for buttocks enhancement and augmentation, but there is a growing number of patients who wish to reverse their BBL results. During a BBL, unwanted fat is harvested from other areas of the body, such as the abdomen, back, thighs, or flanks, through liposuction and liposculpting. The harvested fat is then injected as microdroplets throughout the fatty layer of the buttocks to create a fuller and more lifted appearance. With weight gain or exaggerated BBLs, the size of the buttocks may become disproportionate to the patient's body. And we've seen this, right? In recent years, more and more patients have been looking to reverse their BBL procedures to achieve a more natural look. Yeah, because, and this is what they're saying, and even in the Black community, I've heard this, that once Kim K decided to get rid of her BBL, and all of these other ladies who decided to get rid of their BBL as well, who were dating Black men, once they decided to do that, I think the trend also went with them. So the goal is not to have the gaze of, I guess, the Black male anymore. So when you don't want the gaze of this demographic, you get rid of what he finds attractive, which would be a bigger bum, a bigger butt. So with Kim Kardashian, we saw her go out of her way to be the most beautiful, to be the most perfect, and look at what she ended up with. So I think a lot of women saw her and how hard she worked and how much she did to her body, and it essentially getting her nowhere, divorced. So it looks like no matter, and I think the message is no matter what you look like, no matter how you present, no matter what you do to your body, Coolidge effect, we spoke about that earlier, he will never be satisfied. He will never be satisfied. And we see this, right? And it says in recent years, more and more patients have been looking to reverse their BBL procedures to achieve a more natural look. Some now claim it's the end of the BBL era that was led by celebrities like the Kardashians, right? Why do patients want to reverse their BBLs? That's the question here. Patients may wish to reverse or undo the result of a BBL because of various reasons, such as dissatisfaction with the outcome, an exaggerated augmentation, asymmetry, cellulite, or changes in personal preference and trends. For some, the result of a BBL may be unwelcomed when the newly created buttock size does not match the rest of the patient's body. Yeah, like when your thighs are like toothpicks and you have this watermelon ass. You have this watermelon butt on toothpick legs. It doesn't really look nice, right? I don't think so. You have like toothpick legs, a watermelon ass, and then you have like two cantaloupe boobs. Your performing femininity will have you looking you start to look like a clown shoe. But anyway, it says, I don't mean to laugh. Okay. Why do patients want to reverse their BBLs? Okay. And then it says, for some, the result of a BBL may be unwelcomed when the newly created buttock size does not match the rest of the patient's body. This can happen when large volume fat transfer is performed in order to create excessively larger buttocks. Another cause of a mismatch between buttock size and a patient's body is weight gain. Yep. You can have a BBL and ruin it all in like 2 meals, from what I read. It says weight gain can result in further expansion of the fat cells within the buttocks and this additional buttocks enlargement. Additional buttocks enlargement. Let me read that sentence again. Weight gain can result in further expansion of the fat cells within the buttocks and thus additional buttocks enlargement. Unfortunately, this enlargement is not always uniform and thus may create a less than desired buttocks shape. Crazy. More recently, patients are seeking BBL reversals due to a shift in personal preferences and trends. Remember, people are very trendy. Over time, an individual's aesthetic preferences and desires may change, and they might no longer desire the enhanced appearance achieved through a BBL. The popularity of enhanced buttocks from the past decade led some celebrities. Let me read that again. The popularity of enhanced buttocks from the past decade, led by some celebrities, is no longer fashionable as trends continue to shift and evolve. What are the options for BBL reversal? Some believe that BBL reversal is as simple as performing liposuction on the buttocks, but it can be more complex. Liposuction only works for a small number of patients. And then it says one of the main considerations for whether a BBL reversal will be successful is if the initial BBL was performed correctly. If fat was injected above the muscle layer, then the BBL reversal can be performed. Keep in mind, if your surgeon performed the BBL by injecting fat into the gluteal muscle, fat in that location cannot be safely removed. In these situations, a traditional butt lift to remove buttocks tissue and lift and reshape the buttocks may be recommended. And it says another consideration is skin elasticity or the skin's ability to contract after being stretched. As we age, skin elasticity declines. Fat is what helps the buttocks retain their shape. So if fat is removed, skin that has poor elasticity could sag or become unshapely. This can affect the quality of the result. In such cases, skin tightening procedures or the removal of excess skin during surgery may be necessary. That's very interesting. Wow. And then it goes on to how is a BBL reversal achieved? So all of this just goes back into what we were talking about. This business of even going out to get a BBL is now seen as a waste of time. So women ran to get this procedure done, and now the trends have changed. And now people are trying to look out, how can I get rid of this shit? And a lot of women are trying to get rid of it. I heard my friend say the other day, my best friend, she said, "Oh, well, thin is in." Now women are trying to, I guess they're trying to be like 90s chic now, how it was, back in the early mid 90s. And women are going to that aesthetic, and women are going to this type of body where everything is not as exaggerated. And I think that would be safer than kind of doing all of these procedures that are harmful to your body. What do you think? I think so. I think women have had it. Maybe not with the makeup, maybe not with the acrylic nails. It all depends, but I think when it comes to the BBL, women have kind of slowed down with the BBL procedures. It's not as common as it was. Women are probably opting more for liposuction, but they're not looking for a BBL per se. So I think we covered a lot tonight. We covered heels, high heels. We covered makeup. We can cover hair and talk about that for a few, but we spoke about BBL procedures, and we also spoke about acrylic nails, and we spoke about how these things, when women do participate in them, they destroy her standing body, her natural state, and she needs her natural state to be in a comfortable state so that she can perform effectively and take care of her person, because that's the main goal. And we can talk about the hair industry, but we already know that. I already spoke about how I believe that when it comes to hair care, especially in the Black community, there's so many instances where there's so many chemicals that were unregulated. And I remember back in the day, there was this doctor named Dr. Ben, and he did a study. He was an anthropologist, I believe, and he did a study where he decided to examine the skulls of Black women who had mental disorders, and he claimed, well, this was his study, that the chemical relaxers that Black women were using on their scalp was had a lot to do with why they had these mental disorders. He tried to make that correlation back in the late 80s and 90s. I can't find that paper today. Dr. Ben is long gone. Dr. Ben used to chill out with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and also Dr. Delbert Blair. So if you know who Delbert Blair is and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, then Dr. Ben would be in that three, where they study all of these things with in regards to archaeology, and they talk about the Anunnaki and all of those other things, and they're really great. And he spoke about that, and I've always said that as well. There's a trend now that's happening in the Black community where women are trying to go back to chemical relaxers. And I think that they're going back to chemical relaxers because they never really learned how to embrace their natural hair and its natural state. And I think they didn't learn how to embrace their natural hair and its natural state is because many of them, when it came to the natural trend, were just once again following a trend. They never really learned how to do their hair. And I think they didn't really learn how to do their hair because one, many of them didn't have the time. Two, many of them didn't have the luxury to kind of go into a corporate, 500 job with an afro, so on and so forth. So when it comes to that aspect, we can talk about how um, in her natural state, she's not accepted. But then she would have to take the time to kind of learn about what she needs to do in order to have her natural state be accepted to her. Because now the trend is, I'm going to get a chemical relaxer and I'm going to give it a different name. I'm going to call it a a hair straightening operation procedure. And this is what they're calling it now because they don't want to call it a relaxer. But if women stop following trends, then they can learn how to take care of themselves more effectively. But they don't stop following trends. They follow trends, they follow them off the cliff, and then this is where they end up. trying going backwards, if you will, with putting more chemicals on their body. And you see this a lot, but it's all a lesson that we have to learn. None of this happens overnight. We all have to get into the habit of learning how to accept our natural selves and not performing femininity. And I think that includes no makeup, no hair weaves or anything like that that you see a lot of women wearing. And I think once we do get comfortable in that state, then we can have that freedom of not performing. And when you do have that freedom of not performing, you can also have that the privilege of being at peace with that. And I don't really know if we can get there. I would hope that we can get there. The goal is to get there, but the goal is also to kind of host lives like this to kind of give the information as to how femininity and practicing femininity hurts and cripples women. And everything that we do when it comes to practicing femininity, in my opinion, makes you less agile to the male. Less ready for combat, less ready to defend yourself, because here you are taking these small steps, wearing these uncomfortable clothes with this makeup on and eyelashes where you can't see and nails where you can't make a fist. This is the state that he likes for you to be in because you're helpless. And when you're helpless, you can't defend yourself. So that's just some food for thought. Some people would say, oh, you're taking it too far. But I don't think so. You read enough shit, you'll kind of see how all of the things that we participate in, especially as women, have been constructed to kind of keep us restricted in our bodies, restricted in how we present ourselves, restricted in how we love ourselves, because everyone talks about self-love, but then you are scared to go outside without, 17 layers of makeup on. That's weird. That's weirdo shit to me. Let me know what you think. Get into the comment section. Shout out to all the ladies in the Zoom. Um, I have a headset in and you could hear, like if you have the Bluetooth, you can hear what's going on. So it's really funny. Um, like someone is making tea and you can hear, well, whatever. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Please visit the website, west4bmovement.com. Please also sign the Not Our Crimes petition. It's still up. We only have a few signatures to go before I make my goal. I only wanted 100 signatures, but I saw that people were interested in signing. We may just get 200 signatures, and then I'm going to send that off to the URC to kind of have the dialogue surrounding having crimes be statistically accurate. Women at least need protection when it comes to our statistics, right? I think so. So please sign the petition. The petition, if you can't find it, go to west4bmovement.com. It's the only link that's there. Also, please like the live, subscribe to the channel, comment below. Thank you so much for the new followers. I've got a few followers since this started. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. I have seminars coming out. I have my female erasure seminar, which is going to be great. And I have my spiritual, the spiritual critical seminar to me is like something that makes me warm and fuzzy inside to talk to women about the history of spirituality and where it comes from. It's so exciting to get this information because I spent time researching it. And once you spend time researching shit like this, once your eyes are open to it, you can never go back again. You can never sit in front of someone with a crystal ball and candles and have them talk to you about any nonsense. You just can't. You just can't because now you know where all of that comes from. So I'm working really hard on that seminar and I'm really excited about it. And thank you so much again for being here. And what? Oh, no, thank you. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you.